personal Facebook page, you got a notification that I was going to be talking about this particular topic. And that is the topic about the article that I came across on CNBC about 720,000 people just left the workforce. They just left the workforce. And I really want to talk about what this means to you, what it means for you. I want to talk about the data. I want to talk about, I want to talk about this, okay? So welcome back. Happy Monday, happy new week. If you're just joining, let's do a quick tech check. Drop a quick hello in the chat if you can see me and hear me okay. Let me know where you are listening, where you're watching from. I always love to know who is in the room. I'm coming at you live. Hello from Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City. My name is Nick Scott. Welcome back to another episode of Nick at Noon. I'm the founder and CEO of Her Income Edit. We're an online education platform designed to help women turn their existing skills into coaching income, digital products, and online businesses so they can earn more, depend less on traditional employment, and design a life on their terms. Listen, that is the literal mission of Her Income Edit, y'all, okay? If you haven't already, I encourage you to go get your notebook and your pens or whatever it is that you take notes on. Pop open a notes app on your phone. Go get your tea, your water, your juice, your coffee, whatever it is you're sipping on this Monday afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world and whatever time you're watching this. Get settled in. Settle in, pull up a chair, get comfortable. Text the link to this video to a friend who keeps saying that she wants to do something for herself. Text the link to this video to a friend or someone in your network who may have experienced a recent layoff or feels a little unsettled about their job. Text the link to this video, to a friend who wants to build online businesses. Drop it in the group chat, drop it in your Reddit threads, drop it in your LinkedIn groups. Share the love, okay? Listen, I want to talk about something that came across my feed, and I gave you a little bit of a preview about it at the top of this episode. But it came across my feed earlier this week. It was over the weekend. The article dropped earlier in the month of August, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about this. Listen, CNBC reported that 720,000 people stopped working or they stopped looking for work between the months of May and June. Wait, that's not even months. That's between May and June. That's 1 month of 2026. I'm not saying that 720,000 people got laid off. This isn't 720,000 people that are between jobs. These are 720,000 people who said they are done looking for work. And the majority of those people, according to the article, are between the ages of 25 and 34 years old. This is wild to me. And the thing about this is that's not a footnote in a jobs report. That is a signal. And I want to spend our time together in this conversation talking about what that signal means, because I believe that most of the conversation around this data is missing the part that matters most to you. So stay with me for this conversation, because I promise this is going to be worth your time. And before I get into it, has anyone listening or watching this video been in a job search in the last year or two? If it's not you personally, I encourage you again to text the link to this video to someone that you know who has been in a job search in the last year or two. Okay, if you have, just drop a yes in the chat. If you haven't, text the link to this video to someone that you know who has, because I guarantee we all know at least one person who has been in the job search in the last year or two. Okay, let's go on and get into it, okay? So the headline number again is 720,000 people have exited the labor force in one single month from May to June. May to June 2026, 720,000 people left the labor force. That is 1 month, y'all. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it tracks this as the labor force participation rate. So what that means is that is the share of the population who are either working or actively looking for work. So that's what that number represents. And when that number drops, it doesn't always mean the unemployment rate automatically goes up, because the unemployment rate, it only counts for people who are actively looking. Are y'all following me? I don't really like to get into like stats and data like this because, I am a slow processor. So if I'm moving too quickly, just let me know and I can slow down and I can break this down for you, okay? Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. So when people stop looking for work, they disappear from the unemployment rate data, okay? So that means that the job market actually looks better than it is because it's not counting the people who just stopped looking for work. And that is the first thing that I really want you to think about in this. And that is that the official unemployment rate number that is publicized, it does not capture these 720,000 people. That is almost 750,000 people that stopped looking. And that nearly 250,000 people, they do exist. And they're skilled, they're educated, they're experienced. They're just tired, y'all. And the CNBC piece that reported this data, it profiled a man, and the man's name's not important, but I'm going to say it because you can go look this up if you want to. The man's name was Dan Coda. Dan is 40 years old. He was laid off last year, at the latter part of last year. And Dan said that he had spent more than 300 hours looking for a job. Dan said that he submitted dozens of applications. And he said that he made it through multiple rounds of interviews over and over and over and over. And then by June 2026, now mind you, he was laid off in the latter part of 2025. So 6 months later, we'll just for easy math, he told CNBC, and I'm going to paraphrase this here, what he said was the market wore me down. The job search market, I'm calling it the search force. You know how they say the workforce? I'm going to call this the search force. He said the search force wore him down. This man, 300 hours. That is more than 7 full weeks of work of job searching. And he has almost nothing to show for that. And the crazy thing about this is that economists, they're saying that this isn't isolated. And they're actually pointing to 3 things that are driving this trend. If you're just joining, we are talking about the almost 750,000 people who just stopped looking for work between May and June this year, according to CNBC. Okay, hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. So The Economist says, and I'm not an economist, but I do my research. And they say that what's happening isn't it isolated, and it points to 3 things that are driving this trend. And the first thing is long-term unemployment fatigue. Listen, are you tired? Are you in this unemployment force, this search force? I made that up. So if you hear anybody else saying it, you let them know that Nick Scott said it first. Are you part of the search force? When a search drags on for months and months and months with very few callbacks, something psychologically happens to a person who goes through this. And it's not because they're lazy. It's because of erosion. Because people don't just change strategies when they're in the search force. They completely stop. Okay? So the first thing that's driving this trend, according to economists, is long-term unemployment fatigue. The second thing that's driving this trend is mental health strain from prolonged searching. We cannot minimize or dismiss the mental health effects of the search force. And this part, it doesn't get enough airtime, because a job search that doesn't produce results, it isn't just frustrating, it's destabilizing, because your identity, your income, and your sense of moving forward, it's all on pause. And that takes a toll on people mentally. And then the third thing that economists say that's driving this mass exodus of the search force, is a shortage of flexible roles. Okay. So, y'all remember when COVID happened in March 2020, and companies went into remote work mode, right? This was the remote work gate. And everybody worked from home, right? Schools, teachers, nobody, everybody worked from home except for those, what did they call them? They called them mandatory reporters, or, healthcare providers. Somebody remind me what they called those people back in 2020, the ones that had to go to work, right? Everybody worked remotely. Well, guess what? Return to work orders and return to work mandates, they are happening in droves right now. So the third thing that is driving this mass exodus of the work, or of the search force, that economists say, is the shortage of flexible roles. They're becoming less and less common, because parents and caregivers and people with disabilities and people who have relocated, right? They're looking for jobs that work with their lives. And the market, in a lot of sectors, and I kind of said this just a second ago, they've pulled back on the remote and flexible options that existed post pandemic. And because of that, people are like, you know what? I will tell you right now, if I were in the search force right now, I would absolutely 100% be looking for a remote job. Absolutely 100% I would be looking for a remote job. Why? Because of the flexibility of it, because of the balance of it. And it's not because I experienced it. My company that I was laid off from, it was a remote first company. When I was hired at that job in 2022, I was hired as a remote employee. Now, there were people at my company who were hired on as go to the office employees. Okay? And then when COVID happened, everything changed, and they made a business decision to become a remote first company. And actually, it was a very smart business decision for them, because it opened up the talent pool. It opened up the talent pool, and it reduced the costs of the structural things that need to happen, and need to be in place for workers to come to the office. I'm talking about, keeping the lights on, the water running, the actual edifice, the building that the employees have to come to. And our offices were beautiful. Our Denver office was amazing. And before, I forget what year it was, but it was before I was laid off, we actually closed both of our offices because we were a 100% remote company. If I were in the search force, I would be looking for a remote job. Period. I would be looking strictly for remote jobs. When I was looking for that particular job, the job that I ended up getting hired on in 2022, I was only looking for remote work. But people are exiting the search force because the remote work and the flexibility and the hybrid options, they're becoming less and less common, which is crazy to me, y'all. This is crazy. I can't make this stuff up. And I want to know, out of those three things, why people are leaving the search force, which one of those resonates with you? Or maybe you know someone who's been in this. Drop it in the chat for me. Drop it in the comments. Is it long-term unemployment fatigue? Is it mental health strain from prolonged searching? Is it a shortage of flexible roles? Which one of those resonate with you? Because here's the nuance that I want to add to this. Because I always want to give you the full picture, I just don't want to give you this high level. I want to give you the full picture. There was an analysis in St. Louis from last week that noted that part of June's dramatic drop it traces to a statistical revision. And that is a population update in January that changed how the numbers are counted. Okay. So not every one of those 720,000 people is a discouraged worker who gave up. Okay. I mean, that's impossible to be, right? But some of that is the math that's catching up. Okay. But here's what's true, regardless of whether or not all of those people were discouraged. Because the prime labor force participation, I'm talking about workers between the ages of 25 and 54, they still posted the biggest 1 month drop outside of the pandemic. So we're not going to count the pandemic, okay? But this is the biggest 1 month drop since 1976. That right there is a real number. And the underlying conditions that are pushing skilled people out of the search force, those numbers are real too. And that's not a blip. It is a pattern that's been building for years. And the question that I really want you to think about for the rest of our time in this conversation is, what does a skilled professional woman do with all of this information? Like, why am I taking my time and yours to bring this, to surface this, and to give it the airtime that I'm giving? Why did I send it to my email list to make sure that you're here on this conversation? Why did I post it on my personal Facebook page to make sure you're here for this conversation? Why am I spending your time having this conversation around this information and this data? Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. Now, I want to take this out of the abstract for a second, because when I read this data, I didn't think about job seekers in an aggregate way. I thought about the women that I work with. That's what I thought about. I thought about a teacher who has been in her district for 12 years and she knows she's underpaid, but she stays there because her pension, it feels like safety to her. I thought about a healthcare professional who loves what she does, but she's watching all of her colleagues burn out, and she's wondering how long that she can keep it going before she burns out too. I thought about a project manager. I thought about a nonprofit director. I thought about a government contractor. I thought about an engineer. I thought about all the professional women that I work with who are good at what they do. All of these women are aware that something feels real precarious right now, but none of them are sure what to do about it. And these aren't women who stopped working, right? These are women who are still showing up. They're showing up every single day, but they're starting to feel what Dan Coda felt before he gave up on the search force. And, it really is truly about that. The system, it's not built to protect you. And you're right. If that's what you're feeling, you're right about that. Because here's what I believe, and I have believed this since I started building online businesses back in 2008. And that is, a successful career, your 9 to 5, it is valuable, 100% valuable. Mine was valuable. Yours is valuable too. But here's what's not valuable. It is dependence on that one single source of income. Your greatest income asset, it is not your job. That is not your greatest income asset. Your greatest income asset is everything that you have learned while doing your job. And the women who are low-key terrified right now, they're not terrified because, you're not terrified because you're not skilled. You're terrified because your skills are locked inside one employer's payroll system. And that employer, it doesn't even matter how good the benefits are. It doesn't matter how long you've been there. Your job is not a guarantee. Your 9 to 5 was never meant to be your only plan. It only became your only plan because nobody has taught you what else to do with what you know. So I want to ask you something. If you're listening, if you're watching, I want to ask you something just straight up. And I want you to be very honest about it. And unlike other times, I would love to see you engage in the chat with this one. The question is, do you have a backup plan? not thinking about a backup plan, not thinking, one of these days I'm going to have one. I'm saying, do you have a real activated backup plan? Do you have something that you could turn to if your income changed tomorrow? Just let me know. Drop a yes or the no in the comments. Let me know. Because that is exactly why we're here today. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. So let's talk about what you have in your hands right now. Because there's a version of this conversation that goes, you know what? The job market is hard. The search force is hard. The economy is not certain. And here are 5 tips for your LinkedIn profile. And that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to talk about all that. What I want to do is I want to shift your perspective of how you're looking at this and what you're looking at. Okay? Because you've been building something the whole time. You just haven't been packaging it. What do you mean by that? I'm glad that you asked. Here's what I mean. Every year that you've been in your career, you've accumulated skills. You've developed judgment. You've built the ability to solve specific problems for specific people in specific situations. And that right there is not a resume bullet, it's an asset. And the thing about an asset, which is very different than a salary, is that you own it. Your employer doesn't own the asset. The job market doesn't own the asset. You own your assets. You own your assets, right? So what do people ask you for advice about? At work, at home, in your network, what is the thing that people come to you for? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. What is that? Because I really want to be clear, but the thing here is, wait, let me back up. Because the thing about it is the thing that you're good at, it's not just a list of job titles. It's a list of streams of income that don't exist yet. So whatever that thing is, okay? And I want to be clear about something else, because this is where a lot of women get stuck. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling you to take this huge leap of faith. And I'm not here for the hustle culture. I'm not here for, burning everything down. I'm not here for any of that. We are not grinding all our lives over here, okay? What I'm telling you is this, though. The skill set that you have right now, the one that you have building inside of your 9 to 5, that skill set is transferable. It is monetizable. And you can start building with it before anything in your life changes. You can start building with it while your salary is still coming in, while your benefits are still in place. You can start building with your skills while you still have the stability that you have worked some of us, for our entire lives for. Because the goal here is not to escape your 9 to 5. It is not to escape your career, unless that's what you want to do. The goal here is for you to stop being financially dependent on it being the only thing that you have, okay? The goal here is options. That's what the goal here is. The goal here is options. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. And the reason is because options are freedom. And that's what I mean when I say a second stream of income. So let's talk about it. Knowing that you have the skills, that's one thing. But knowing how to turn them into income is a completely different thing, right? Because there are a whole lot of ways to monetize what you know. You can do digital products, you can do consulting, speaking, you can create courses, and most of those can work over time, right? And let's be clear, I've done every single one of those things: digital products, consulting, speaking, and courses, all of the above. But when I talk to women who are building their first or their next stream of income, I'm talking about the first one or the next one that's alongside their full-time job. Coaching is consistently the most accessible. It is the most direct, and it is the fastest path to real income. And here's why. It's because coaching doesn't require you to have a large audience. You don't need 10,000 followers to get started in this. You don't need a viral moment. You need to be good at something. I mean, genuinely good at something. And you need to be able to help someone else get better at that something. Coaching doesn't require you to build a product from scratch before you earn from it. It's you can literally start in this with one conversation at a time, one Zoom call at a time. You can get started in this with the framework that you already use in your head. You just haven't named it yet. Coaching scales to your capacity. So you control the hours, you control your clients, you control your price. And for someone, which most of you are, for someone who already has a full-time job, a full life, and a full schedule, that type of flexibility, that's not a luxury. It's a requirement, right? We just talked about how inflexible jobs are becoming, right? And here's the piece that I really just want to be transparent about. Coaching is not therapy. It is not mentoring. It is not just giving advice. Coaching is a structured engagement where you use your skills to help someone achieve a specific outcome. And when coaching is done well, when you have a clear framework, when you have a defined client, and you have a specific result that you're helping that client get, coaching is one of the most powerful streams of income that is available to you right now today. I have seen women in my community go from, I don't even know what to offer, to getting their first client within weeks. And listen, this isn't because they had something magical that you don't. It's because they stopped undervaluing what they already had. Has anyone here ever thought about coaching? Even if it was just for a moment, have you ever thought about getting into coaching? Even if it was just a passing thought of, you know what, I think I could do that. Let me know in the chat if you've ever thought about coaching. Text the link to this video, to someone in your life that's thought about coaching. Because if you've thought about it, I want you to really hold on to that, because that thought isn't random. That is literally your brain recognizing something that your resume hasn't caught up to yet. Right? Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. Listen, if you're new here, what I'm getting ready to say might be new to you, but if you've been watching these for a while, you've been on my channel since February of this year, you know that I am not interested in leaving you inspired without something to take action on, right? Because I don't believe that that's helpful. I want to give you something that you can move on. And here's what I know to be true about building a coaching business alongside your 9-to-5. The first thing you need is clarity on what you're selling. You need to be very clear on what it is that you're selling. And I'm not talking about a niche statement here. I'm not talking about a tagline. I am talking about an honest answer to the question of, what problem do I solve? Who do I solve it for? And what does their life look like after I help them? Because that is your offer, and everything else is built on top of that. The second thing you need is a framework, because your clients aren't paying for your time. They're paying for your process. So when you say, here's how I take someone from A to B, and you can say it in a way that's repeatable, teachable, and it's specifically yours, that is when coaching, it starts to become a business and not just a side conversation. So the first thing you need is clarity on what you're selling. The second thing you need is a framework. And the third thing you need is to start before you're ready. And this is the most important one. The third thing you need to get started in this is to start before you're ready. And I know that sounds uncomfortable. But here's the thing. The women who are building income streams, they are not the ones who waited until everything was perfect. They're the ones who started with what they had. They learned from real human beings, and then they refined from there. So no, you don't need a website. If you were thinking, oh my gosh, I need to get a website, no, you don't. If you were thinking, oh my gosh, I need to pay somebody to design a logo, or I need to go to AI and design a logo. No, you don't. You don't need to waste time or money doing that. All you need is one client at a time, and you need to have a commitment to doing the work. Okay? Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. I see the love on YouTube. Now, I want to tell you something about where I see most women get stuck in this. Because it's not that you don't understand this on an intellectual level. Most women who find their way into my world, who I work with, they already know that their skills have value because they've been told it before. They've literally been told, you know what, you should charge for this. I'll send you my invoice later. Ha ha ha. Right? So you already know, you've been told that your skills have value. Or you believe it on some level that your skills have value. But the real gap in this is between understanding something and executing on something. And this gap right there, that is where most women stay, and they stay there permanently. And it's not because they're not capable. It's because they never got the specific structured help that they need to close that gap. And that is exactly what I built Ignite for. Ignite is my 12-week group coaching program. And what it does specifically is it takes the women who know they have something to offer, and it walks those women through the process of building a real income generating coaching business. And they do this without quitting their 9-to-5. So we build the clarity, we build the framework, and we build your offer. We build your first client acquisition strategy. And we do this inside a group of women who are doing exactly the same work. So you are not doing this alone. The next cycle, we kick off on September 14th. And if you've been talking about, listen, if what I've been talking about today is resonating with you, if you are sitting here thinking, you know what, this is me. This is what I've been feeling, and I want to do something about it. I want you to learn more. I want you to learn more about Ignite. The link for Ignite is in the description, or you can head over to my website at herincomeedit.com/ignite. I want you to take a look at what Ignite is, what we have to offer, what we're building toward, and why now is the time for you to get started in this. You will literally have enrolled or landed your first or next coaching clients before the end of the year. You will have your second or next revenue stream in motion before the end of the year. 100% no doubt. That is the promise that I make. So head over to my website, like I said, herincomeedit.com/ignite. You can click the link down in the description, read the page, watch the videos, see if this is a right fit for you. And if you have questions, please, please, please reach out. Here's the thing about it though. I'm not going to pressure you, but I am going to tell you this. The window is open right now. And the women who are in this next cycle, they're the women who decided not to wait until the market told them that it was okay. Okay? Listen, almost 750,000 people exited the search force in one single month. Almost 750,000 people stopped looking for work in 1 month. Most of those people were between the ages of 25 and 34. These people are skilled, they're experienced, they're exhausted. They got worn down by a system that wasn't built to protect you. Are you in that number? Are you one of the 720,000 people that I'm talking about that exited the search force? If you're not, I don't want it to be you. I don't want it to be you. And if you are, I still don't want it to be you. And it's not because I'm worried about you, because here's the thing. I believe that you're more resilient than you give yourself credit for. But because I know what's on the other side of building something of your own, and I know you don't have to choose between your job and freedom. You literally can have both. You can have both. You can build your career and you can start to build options for yourself. You can do this at the same time, and you can do it starting now because your skills are your backup plan. Your skills are your leverage. Your skills are your next stream of income. And the only question is whether or not you're going to do something with this. If you want to keep learning about, what I'm talking about here, I do have a free training that I host every single Tuesday live at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want to keep learning more about this, I want you to join me in my free training. It is linked down in the description. Of course, you can go to my website at herincomeedit.com/training, because that right there is the place to start. If today was the first time that you've ever heard me, you've ever seen me, hello, welcome. My name is Nick Scott. But I want you to go deeper before you make any decisions, okay? So join me on the free training. But if you're already clear and you know that you're ready, I want you to check out Ignite. I want to see you in Ignite. And again, link is in the description for Ignite, herincomeedit.com/ignite. The next cycle kicks off on September 14th. The information is all on my website. I want to thank each and every one of you for spending your day with me today. Drop me a comment. Let me know you were here. Share this information with someone who needs to hear this. I see the love on Instagram, on YouTube. Thanks for joining. My name is Nick Scott. This has been another episode of Nick at Noon. I am here live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Mountain Time. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn your bell notifications on so you don't miss a beat. I cover all things strategy, tools, and mindset here on my YouTube channel when it comes to coaching income, digital products, and online businesses, so that you can earn more, so that you can stop depending so much on traditional employment, and so that you can start to design a life on your own terms, so you can create options for yourself, for your family, for your future, and for your legacy, okay? That is what we do here. That is my mission. I want you to go check out Ignite. I am actively looking. You may have seen it come across on my YouTube community post or on my LinkedIn. I am actively looking for 5 women to help fill this cohort. If that is you or someone you know, send them the link to Ignite. And I hope to see you there. If you have any questions, please do reach out. Please do reach out, because I will answer the questions. You can leave them in the comments. You can send me an email. You can send me a DM on Instagram. You can send me a DM on LinkedIn. I want to help you start to create options for yourself. I'm not selling. I posted on my Instagram last night. I'm not selling a lifestyle. Like, there's a whole lot of things that I'm not going to do to try to fill up my programs. And one of them is sell you a lifestyle. Because lifestyle is subjective. Lifestyle is very individualized. And the way that I live my life might not be the way that you want to live your life, right? But what I am selling you on is options. Because options are truly what freedom is. It is the option to say yes because you want to say yes. It is the option to say no because you can say no, right? It is the option to not feel trapped, whether it's professionally or personally, to not feel trapped financially, right? Okay? Thanks again for joining. And I will see y'all in the next one. Okay? Bye.